I've always been the one who fixed things. When the roof leaked at Mom's house, I was the one up there with the tarp before the rain even stopped. When my brother Ryan bounced his third job in 2 years, I helped cover his rent. Quietly. No lectures. Just help. That's how I've always operated. Low profile, steady, useful. I'm a civil engineer, not a saint, but I believe in keeping things standing. That's why it knocked the breath out of me when Ryan accused me of harassing his fiancée. I was 48 when it happened. Dayton was just waking up from a late spring cold snap. You know, the kind where the morning's still sharp with frost, but the air smells like cut grass by lunch. I just finished a highway drainage redesign project and was settling into a rare weekend with no blueprints in my passenger seat. I remember that peace vividly, because it didn't last. Ryan's voice cracked over the phone. Said Lena didn't feel comfortable around me. He wouldn't get into specifics. Wouldn't name a moment, a word, anything. Just this fog of accusation. I felt the old instinct kick in, to smooth things over, to de-escalate. But I didn't. Not this time. I said one word, done. See, when I agreed to co-sign their mortgage, I'd added a clause. A legal footnote, quietly inserted, because I've learned the hard way that family doesn't always mean protection. The clause voided my guarantee if I was treated in bad faith. It didn't say if I'm insulted or if I'm disrespected. It said bad faith. Broad. Airtight. Final. That phone call was enough. I called the bank and withdrew my support. No drama, no yelling. Just signatures and silence. Their loan collapsed 2 days later. I didn't explain it to anyone. Not right away. Not even when my phone lit up with texts from my mother asking what I'd done to Ryan. Not when Lena posted vague shots online about betrayals in the family. I just kept quiet, watched the storm build, and waited. Because I knew something they didn't, I wasn't improvising. I'd built my escape before the fire. The funny thing about family, they remember your silence more than your sacrifices. By Monday, the rumors had teeth. My mother left me voicemails that got increasingly tearful. Ryan's friends unfollowed me online like it was a digital excommunication. And Lena? She played it well. Vague Facebook statuses about trust and feeling unsafe, always timed with a new real estate listing or yoga photo. She knew how to stir sympathy without getting messy. But I didn't flinch. I just kept working. I was reviewing bridge load calculations while people wondered if I was a creep. Not a word from Ryan. See, Ryan's always had that gift. He disappears when things are inconvenient. He was the kid who'd hide in the laundry room when chores came up, the man who let girlfriends handle breakups for him. But this time, he stayed invisible a little too long. And people started asking questions. That's when I made my move. I printed everything, emails, text threads, even a voicemail Lena left me the week before the blow-up. The one where she called to thank me for the financial help and said, "You're honestly the only dependable man I've met in Ryan's family." That line did a lot of work. I didn't forward it to anyone. Instead, I drove to my mother's house on Wednesday afternoon. The sky was pale and washed out, the kind of humid Ohio heat that sticks behind your knees. She opened the door with puffy eyes and a brittle smile. I sat at her kitchen table, the one I refinished after Dad died, and I laid out the papers. I didn't defend myself. I just showed her the facts. She read in silence. Her hands trembled. Halfway through the email, she sighed like someone exhaling a decade's worth of denial. I didn't ask her to take sides, but something shifted. She didn't say Lena's name again that day. By the end of that week, the gloves came off. Lena sent me a certified letter, the kind that rattles when it hits your mailbox. Legalese packed with empty threats, defamation, emotional distress, even something about intentional interference with marital housing stability, which I'm pretty sure was made up. I didn't panic. I read it twice, filed it, then poured myself a bourbon. See, Lena didn't realize I'd had my lawyer draft that mortgage clause like it was a bomb shelter. It was short but ironclad. My withdrawal didn't sabotage anything. It exercised a pre-agreed right. She could scream, tweet, hire all the Etsy tier legal reps she wanted. I had the documents, and I had time. Ryan, on the other hand, finally cracked. He texted me a long wall of rage and guilt and half-baked threats. Said I was jealous, that I'd always tried to one-up him. It was a tantrum in paragraphs. I didn't reply. What could I say? That I'd spent my life carrying the man, only to be accused of something grotesque just because his fiancée couldn't stand not being in control? They wanted me to break, but they didn't understand. I'd already broken years ago. Back when I first realized my role in the family was a utility, not a brother. The guy you call when the pipes burst or your credit's trashed, not someone you defend. So no, I didn't break this time. I leveraged. That Friday, I sent my mother a sealed envelope with a simple note. For your records. Inside was the signed mortgage contract with the clause highlighted in yellow and the postmarked withdrawal letter. Nothing else. By Sunday, the silence from her side of the family was different. Heavy, focused, almost respectful. The house fell through. Just like that. Ryan and Lena had been 2 weeks from closing. White colonial in Upper Arlington, wraparound porch, mature maple trees, big enough for a golden retriever and kids they hadn't even named yet. I'd seen the listing. Lena had shown it off like it was already hers, with captions like "Our Forever Place" and heart emojis in beige and gold. Then the financing fell apart. Without my backing, the bank backed off. Turns out Ryan's income on paper didn't impress anyone, and Lena's commission-based pay was too unstable for underwriting. They tried to rush a new co-signer. Asked an uncle, a friend. No one stepped up. Word travels fast in families, especially when you're reckless with yours. Lena posted a final, filtered photo in front of the sold sign. One last lie before it was taken down. Then silence. I heard about the breakup 2 weeks later. Apparently, Ryan found messages on Lena's phone. Not with me. I would never. But with someone else. Someone from her office. He confronted her, and it didn't go well. She moved out. He spiraled. And me? I didn't gloat. I didn't even feel vindicated. Just tired. Mom called the day after. Her voice was small, quieter than I've ever heard it. She didn't ask for explanations. She just asked if I was okay. And I told her, honestly, that I wasn't sure. Because here's the truth. I didn't want this. Not the drama. Not the proof. Not even the justice. I just wanted my brother to look at me and see something other than a tool. Something other than a transaction. But that house, it was never mine to save. Only theirs to lose. After the fallout, Ryan went silent again. But not the way he used to. This time, it wasn't avoidance. It was distance. Purposeful. He didn't block me. Didn't lash out online. Just cut the cord. No calls. No texts. Not even holiday card. Our family's version of exile isn't loud. It's just space that doesn't close. Mom tried to patch things. Invited us both to her birthday lunch. I showed up, brought her a Kindle and a soft scarf. Ryan didn't come. She didn't mention it. Just poured more tea and talked about her begonias. I think she was scared if she acknowledged it. It would become real. It already was. People always assume the worst part of betrayal is the moment itself. The accusation. The blow-up. But they're wrong. The worst part is the stretch of silence that follows. The new rhythm of pretending someone doesn't exist. Especially when they used to be your shadow. Ryan and I used to finish each other's sentences. Built a treehouse together one summer with bent nails and stolen planks. We shared a room until he was 16. I remember the way his laugh used to echo through the vents. I can still hear it sometimes when the house is quiet, like muscle memory, or a ghost. But now, nothing. He's out there, somewhere, probably rebuilding. Lena's out of the picture. I heard through a cousin that he sold his car, moved into a smaller apartment, started freelancing again. The story didn't need my commentary. It unfolded on its own. As for me, I slept better. Not because I won, but because for the first time in a long while, I wasn't carrying anyone. People ask me if I regret including that clause. Mostly, they mean well. Colleagues, old friends, even a few family members who tiptoe around the subject like it's a cracked egg. They ask if I'd do it again, knowing how it ended. And here's the truth. I didn't add that clause because I expected betrayal. I added it because I've been taught painfully, repeatedly, that trust isn't protection. Not when it's blind. Not when it's unspoken. I added the clause because I needed to know that this time, if the house burned, I wouldn't be trapped inside it. It wasn't spite. It was survival. The language was simple. In the event of demonstrable bad faith, the co-signing party reserves the right to withdraw financial backing, voiding the agreement in full. That was it. No drama. Just ink and foresight. I knew it made people uncomfortable. Ryan didn't even read it. Just said, yeah, whatever, man. We appreciate it. Lena read it. Twice. I saw her eyes narrow for a split second, like she'd bitten into something bitter. She smiled anyway. She was good at smiling. Now, months later, I think back to that meeting at the bank. Lena in beige, all sharp edges and compliments. Ryan half asleep from a night out. Me, calm as concrete, knowing I was walking into a structure I'd already reinforced. Funny thing about engineering, you don't build for when things go right. You build for when they don't. That clause didn't destroy their future. It simply revealed it. A few weeks ago, I found an old photo in a drawer I hadn't opened in years. It was from a barbecue, summer of 2011, I think. Ryan and I were both grinning like idiots, holding plates piled with ribs, sweat on our foreheads, and beer in hand. You could see the sun in our squinting eyes, that kind of Midwest light that makes everything feel louder and closer. For a moment, I wanted to believe in that photo again. That snapshot version of us. No bitterness, no suspicion. Just brothers. Back when being family didn't require terms and clauses. But photos lie. They capture a second, not a story. They don't show what came before or what broke after. That day, if I remember right, I just covered Ryan's bounce car payment. Again. And Mom had asked me, quietly, to not bring it up so we wouldn't ruin the vibe. We've always been better at pretending than repairing. It's strange how memory works. I can't remember the last time Ryan thanked me. But I remember his laugh in that picture, the way he nudged my elbow like we were still 12, scheming about stealing popsicles from the neighbor's freezer. Grief sneaks up like that. Not as sadness, but as nostalgia you can't trust. Now, I keep that photo, not to forgive, not to forget, but to remind myself that even lies are built on a version of truth. For a while, he was my brother. For a while, it was real, and then it wasn't. People like to talk about closure like it's a switch. You find it, flip it, move on. But that's not how it works when it's blood. Especially not when the knife went in quiet. What I lost with Ryan wasn't loud. It wasn't a breakup or a betrayal with witnesses. It was something smaller, meaner. A slow hollowing out. The kind where you don't even know what's missing until someone else points it out. A neighbor, an older guy down the street named Cliff, saw me out front this spring planting tomatoes. He asked casually how my kid brother was doing. Said he hadn't seen him around. I lied. Said he was busy with work. Cliff nodded, offered me extra starter plants, and that was that. He didn't press. But I stood there after, holding a half flat of seedlings, and it hit me how many lies we tell to keep things neat. And how few people want the truth when the truth is, I don't know how he's doing. I don't even know if I'd pick up if he called. It's a weird kind of grief, mourning someone still alive. I don't think Ryan even realizes the weight of what he did. That it wasn't about Lena's lie. Not really. It was about how quickly he believed it. How eagerly he reached for the most disgusting version of me, just because it was convenient. Because it gave him power. Or absolution. That's what I can't shake. Not the accusation. The speed of it. I keep going back to the moment I said done. I think about what would have happened if I hadn't. If I'd begged, or explained, or played the role I always played. The fixer, the one who eats his pride to keep peace. Maybe they'd have closed on that house. Maybe Lena wouldn't have escalated things. Maybe Ryan would have believed in me long enough to see the truth unravel on its own. But I didn't. I stood still. And that stillness cost me him. You don't always lose people in storms. Sometimes, you lose them because you stopped walking toward them. Sometimes, standing still is the final act. Now, when I passed that block in Upper Arlington, the one where their dream house almost was, I don't look left. I just drive. Windows down, music low, wind messing with my papers on the seat. I don't need to see it. I already know what's there. Nothing. Just a house that never was. The brother who never came back. There was a time I believed everything broken could be fixed. Maybe that's the engineer in me. Always measuring, always calculating, always patching cracks before the structure gives way. I used to treat people like buildings. As if enough reinforcement, time, patience, compromise could make anything last. Even when the foundation was already fractured. But not everything is worth shoring up. Not every crack is your responsibility. Last month, I ran into Lena. Yeah, I didn't expect it either. It was at Lowe's, of all places. She was in the garden section, looking at mulch. No ring. Hair shorter. Her face looked older in that subtle way people age when they're not pretending anymore. She saw me, paused, smiled, a cautious, tired version of that same bright grin she used to wear like armor. I didn't smile back. She approached anyway, asked how I was. I said I was fine. She nodded, said she was figuring things out. I didn't ask what that meant. Didn't ask anything at all, really. I just said, good luck, and walked away. She didn't follow. Just stood there by the begonias like someone who wasn't used to being left behind. Later, in the parking lot, I sat in my truck a minute too long, engine off, listening to the tick of the cooling metal. Not because I was shaken, not because I was angry, just aware. Aware of how far I'd come from that version of myself who might have tried to fix her, to understand her, to save her. I don't know her that. I never did. And Ryan? I haven't heard from him. But I no longer check my phone with that dumb flicker of hope when it buzzes. I no longer write texts and delete them. I no longer plan imaginary conversations in the shower where he apologizes and I say, it's okay. We were just kids. Because it's not okay. And we're not kids. We're two grown men who stood on opposite sides of a lie, and only one of us brought a truth sharp enough to cut through it. The other just watched it bleed. I didn't burn the emails. I could have deleted them. All the messages, screenshots, records, the whole paper trail that proved everything. But I didn't. I stored them in a password-protected folder tucked away deep in my cloud storage, like a digital time capsule. Not for revenge. Not even for just in case. Honestly, I kept them so I'd never doubt myself. Because the hardest part of being lied about isn't proving the lie. It's the gaslight that lingers long after the fire's out. There are nights I still caught myself wondering if I could have said something differently, or stood differently, or smiled too long. That's what false accusation does. It burrows under your skin, eats at your sense of self, makes you dissect moments that didn't deserve scrutiny. But then I'd open the file, just to remind myself I wasn't crazy, that the line had been crossed, not by me, but by them. I don't revisit it much anymore. These days, my focus is smaller, quieter. Tomatoes in the yard, a neighbor's busted fence, rerouting runoff from the side of the garage. Life reduced to the manageable and real, things I can touch and measure and trust. There's a comfort in that. Mom doesn't talk about Ryan much anymore. Not out of anger, more like grief's strange cousin, resignation. Sometimes she'll mention something funny he said as a kid, and we'll both go quiet. Not sad, just quiet, like a radio that lost the signal. She still hopes, I think. I don't. And that's not bitterness talking. That's just time. People assume closure looks like slamming a door. Sometimes it's just leaving it open, knowing no one's coming through. I still keep a spare key in the drawer. His key. I found it under a stack of old manuals one day. Didn't toss it. Didn't move it even. It just stays there. Useless. Intact. Like the parts of him I remember. And the parts one chooses not to. It's been over a year now. Seasons passed. The maple in my backyard turned gold, then bare, then full again. Funny how trees always seem more patient than people. They know how to let things fall without making a scene. I've stopped expecting apologies, or explanations, or even acknowledgement. The silence has settled into something less sharp. Not forgiveness, not quite, but something like neutrality. The same way you stop noticing a scar once it becomes part of your skin. People sometimes ask if I miss him, and I do. Not the man he became, not the version that flinched at hard truths and clung to convenient lies, but the boy he was. The one who used to sneak marshmallows from the pantry and blame the dog. The one who cried when our dad died and crawled into my bed just to breathe near someone who understood. That kid? I miss him every time I drive past a little league field or smell sawdust in a garage. But we grow. We change. And sometimes we don't change together. Some days, I still wonder if I could have handled it softer. If there was a version of this story where I kept the peace without losing my self-respect. But the truth is, peace bought with silence isn't peace. It's slow surrender. I gave enough. The story didn't end with fireworks or courtroom drama. No revenge, no triumphant reckoning. Just a house that was never theirs, a trust that was never rebuilt, and a man who learned that boundaries don't make you cruel. They keep you sane. This morning I sat out back, coffee in hand, birds arguing in the hedges. The air had that early summer smell, fresh cut grass, distant charcoal, humidity thick enough to feel. And for once, I didn't think about him. I just listened. To the wind, the quiet, the stillness I used to fight so hard to earn. And I realized something simple. Letting go doesn't sound like doors slamming or hearts breaking. It sounds like nothing at all.